Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV, and online content and help you answer the question, is it Morbin time? No, it's never Morbin time. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today, Dylan Blight.
I don't know why that's a thing, but I hate it. I've been hating it all week, so.
It's terrible. It's been trending all week. Did you see the news story going around that people were convinced that Morbius had been greenlit for a second movie?
No,
so there's two separate things. There's so someone posted like a CNN article saying that a second movie was coming to Paramount Plus and Disney Plus streaming. So that was a thing that confused people. And then Jared Leto posted a photo of himself doing the peace sign. And people thought that meant Morbius 2 was coming.
Fucking hell.
Okay, so good times. But yes, apparently Morbius, big success for Sony on streaming, on video on demand. Everybody's been watching it. It's crazy. And bad. Crazy as in bad.
It's a very bad movie, and I don't know why people like... Because the thing is that studios don't understand, and they'll be like, man,
so much buzz.
This movie's a hit. Let's get number 2 straight out there.
I mean, if people are paying for it, I mean, why not? People want...
Not paying for it. Someone was streaming it on Twitch for like 20 days straight, just on loop or whatever, before it got pulled down. So...
Okay, that's pretty funny.
And that's where everyone was writing it's Morbin time. It was just a Twitch chat being like, it's bloody Morbin time. And I was just streaming the movie on loop, and then their Twitch account got deleted. But I think it played for a couple days before it got found.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good times. All right, in today's episode, we'll be talking about watching our watch history. We'll be covering some news. We'll talk about this week's top 3 and giving some thumbs to some trailers. First off, we've had a bunch of spoiler casts and other content. The big one, the movie that's set to save blockbuster movies, Top Gun Maverick, the sequel to the 1986 film by Tony Scott, the new one directed by Joseph Kosinski, starring Tom Cruise, Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly, Glenn Powell, John Hamm, in which Maverick goes back to Top Gun to teach a young new crop of fighter pilots how to dogfight because they've got this crazy mission they need to go on. And he's the only one who could possibly teach them how to do it. Of course, we did do a spoiler cast you can find on the podcast feed. But Dylan, do you want to give your non-spoilerly thoughts on Top Gun Maverick?
It's one of the best movies of the year. There you go. You should watch it in the cinema. And if you don't, you're a fucking disgrace to humanity. If I had time, like the thing is, I really would like to go watch it the second time. It's just that thing of like, it's 2 hours 20, drive, park, by the time it's like 3 to 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours out of a day to go watch it kind of thing. And I'm really tempted, but I'm like, there's so much other shit I could be doing. I need to do. Not only could I be doing, but also that I actually technically need to be doing. Like there's games I should be doing and other things I should be watching. But like, fuck, I would actually go watch it. I'll very happily. Like if I go watch a movie twice.
There's no other movies coming to Tasmania, so I mean...
that's true. So hopefully we'll be there for long enough that I can...
it's going to play for the next month or 2.
Yeah, so I will definitely would like to go watch it again, so that's my tick of approval there. I only watch movies twice if they're really fucking good, and Top Gun is definitely really fucking good. Although I'm tempted, not because the movie's bad, but like I could nearly buy a ticket, just like skip the first half hour. Like not that it's bad, but also just be like,
just get to the bit.
Let me get to the good shit. You know what I mean? Like, sort of thing. But no, Top Gun's really good. They're coming from someone who's like the first movie's this movie's all right. This is definitely going to be one of, if not the best action movie of the year. I think this is easily going to be the best action movie of the year. It's the way it shoots its action. I just think that it'll make all the CGI shit for the rest of the year just look even worse in comparison. No, you know what's the funniest thing in retrospect too is that remember all those stories in the lead up to the movie? They were like the movie's going to focus on drones and how the pilots deal with them and shit like that. It's like in retrospect, this isn't a big spoiler, but it's like the start of the movie is like literally Tom Cruise is like, you fuck the drones, and then he goes and makes them rest of the movie. You kind of forget that they even mentioned that right at the start. Like the opening of the movie is like Tom Cruise is like, fuck drones, I can fly faster than them, and then he goes and like does.
It turns out they created a mission where they couldn't use drones.
Yeah.
This is pretty much the thing. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fantastic as well. It's a fun story, kind of a throwback to those type of action movies, where it's like a great ensemble. Of course, it's focused on Tom Cruise, but there's like a great cast of characters there as well. Incredible action, like Dylan said. You need to see it in the cinema. You're not doing it justice unless you see it on the big screen, because some of the footage they've got is crazy. It is crazy what they've managed to achieve. How they've managed to achieve it. I'm looking forward to the day where they have a full behind the scenes documentary. Yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of respect, lots of nice callbacks, but not like, not fan servicey. Well, I guess all callbacks are fan servicey, but like not like the kind of ones where they want you to applaud. You know,
not the ones that piss me off.
Yeah, ones that make sense.
Yeah, ones that make sense. It's fine.
Yeah, really good emotional story as well, about Maverick and Goose's son Rooster. I think their storyline's really great. Jennifer Connelly looks amazing on screen, as this crazy, really sweet relationship with Tom Cruise. As the people keep pointing out, this is the first time in ages that Tom Cruise has had a relationship with like a woman just like the right age appropriately.
Yeah, I saw someone tweet today that's like the first time Tom Cruise has had a relationship, romance, and like with a
age appropriate
woman
person, yeah.
That's age appropriate woman in like years. So
yeah, crazy. So yeah, go check out Top Gun Maverick in cinemas, and then go listen to our spoiler cast. I think it was pretty good. Yeah. We also checked out Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, dropping on Disney Plus. Of course, a reboot / follow-up, in which you follow the actual Chip and Dale who filmed the TV show Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers several years after the show had been cancelled, in which Chip is now a life insurance salesman, and Dale is working the nostalgia trail, trying to live off the glory days after having CGI surgery. Very much in a world in which cartoon characters are living amongst humans, and then their old friend Montgomery Jack gets kidnapped, and they have to work back together to try and figure out what happened to him. Super fun movie, super nostalgic, super fun. I know we just talked about bad references, but this one is chock full of references, and they're all fun, even though they're not necessarily necessary. It is bonkers how they were able to pull in some of the cameos that they did, especially a certain blue character who shows up very... it still blows my mind that he's in that movie. Yeah, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, way better than it should be. Dylan, what do you think? Spoiler free.
Yeah, this movie came out of nowhere. I remember we talked about that trailer a couple weeks last episode or whatever it was, and maybe episode before, and I didn't even know it was a thing that was being made. It's very fun. Definitely feels like the most modern version of Roger Rabbit, which is fitting because we did do the spoiler cast for that in the lead up to watching this, so we got that right because it definitely feels like the most similar movie of Roger Rabbit that we've ever had, and also feels like it's everything that sort of Space Jam 2 wanted to be, but does it a lot more successfully and everything like that. So yeah, it's very fun, full of references, knows it's full of references, plays it up to 1,000%, makes that a big part of the movie, while also having a story that's fun between these characters. So yeah, very enjoyable.
All right. And then we also checked out the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan. Now you can head over to our Holocron Entries podcast feed and check out the Obi-Wan focused after show Hello There, in which we talk about each of the episodes. But Dylan, do you want to give your overall thoughts of Obi-Wan?
Yeah, I thought the first 2 episodes were a great opener. I think it's off to a really interesting start. It's good that they dropped the first 2 back to back because it is a lot of setting up and place setting, which is fine. But yeah, being able to watch that back to back like a movie length part 1, sort of act 1 of this, and then we're about to go straight into act 2 because it's only a 6 episode thing is good. I love having Ewan McGregor back in the franchise. Having fresh Obi-Wan with Ewan McGregor is fantastic. Like, he's just, he was made to play that role, I feel, and he's, everyone loves him from the prequels, and having more of him is never a bad thing. I like having old Inquisitors and stuff like that in it. Shot really well. Lots of interesting things being done with that character. I've seen some people complain about some dumbass shit over the last couple of days since it's come out that I'm like, you just don't understand this character or like what's happening at all to the point that's sort of frustrating. But nonetheless, yes, I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it as well. 2 great episodes to kick things off. Really interesting explanations as to why things are happening, and unexpected for us who, thought we were smart and had it all figured out, and then they pulled the rug out from under us in the first episode, explaining why Obi-Wan is leaving Tatooine to go all over the galaxy. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really well shot, other than, this chase sequence involving a young child. The 2 chase sequences involving a young child, which I'm sure people have seen on social media, people complain about, but yeah, I'm really digging it. I think it's really fun, and excited to see how the miniseries ends. Even though I saw reports that Obi-Wan wanted another. I mean, Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor said he's open to a season 2 at Celebration, in an interview. So
yeah, go watch it so we can get season 2, I guess. All right. There's one other thing, but we'll get into it later in the episode. Dylan, do you want to tell everybody what you thought of the first half of this season of Better Call Saul? Just as we hit mid-season break.
Oh my god. What? I don't know how many times I can come on this show in my life over the years we've been doing this fucking podcast and tell you how good Better Call Saul is, and you continually just choose not to participate. It is like the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. This show is some of the best written TV there is. And you know why? It's because Breaking Bad's some of the best written TV there is. And it's from the people that brought you Breaking Bad. And now they're better writers because this is the show they've done after. And here it is. We talked about it. I talk about it so much. I can't get over it. I love these characters. I love the story. I just think the show constantly writes so smart. And I don't mean like, oh, it's so like in depth. I just mean like they know their characters so well. They write in such a natural way. It's hard to explain without watching it, but like everything just feels right. There's no Hollywood-esque writing. It's like if something happens, it's because it probably feels like the natural way it should happen, or everything else. But like the breakdown and like trying to like seeing the way characters react to things is just so interesting. It's like the very human characters. There's a lot that must go into sort of crafting and coming up the reason why someone would say or do something or whatever else, and has some of the most interesting characters on TV. Kim and Sol, or Jimmy, whatever you want to call him, are just absolutely some of the most interesting. Watching these two go for an arc over these 6 seasons has been like super interesting, and I can't wait to see how and where it's going to end up, because if you're watching this show, you should be watching this show. If you're watching this show and you saw the disgusting way they chose to end this mid-season break, which I'm not blaming them because it's not their fault they got a mid-season break. It's because of health reasons, I guess. Because the main actor had did he have a heart attack? Or was it?
I think
so. It was a heart attack, right? I think it was a heart attack. Yeah. So that's the reason for it. But the way it ends, oh my god. That last episode, another banger. Absolute 10 out of 10. One of the best episodes. Another fantastic 10 out of 10 episode. And now I gotta wait for more, so anyway. Show's fantastic. You should be watching it. I'm very much still tempted to try and trick you into doing a podcast where watch all of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul after this is wrapped at some point in the future, but we'll see how we go.
I'm holding out. I think that's one, I know you want to do it, so, that'll be the thing. It's like, I never watched it, so that's the person who knows it and the person who doesn't know it, So, it's on you, really, is what I'm saying. It's your fault.
How's it my fault? For watching it? How dare I watch one of the greatest shows of all time when it was airing?
Yeah. So last episode during Times for Trailers, we talked about Emergency, the new film coming to Amazon Prime. It released over the weekend, and I managed to squeeze a viewing in despite all the crazy content that had been coming out this weekend.
Which is this one?
Huh?
Which is this one? Emergency. What's
Emergency. This is follows two young college students, Sean and Cannell, who are planning to go on this legendary
the white
tour.
girl.
They want to go visit 7 frat parties in the one night. As they're coming home to get ready for the parties, they find an unconscious white girl in their house. They also find their brown friend, I think Mexican, I want to say, friend Carlos in his room playing video games. Crusader Kings 3 for the win. Who just oblivious to the girl who walked into.
I didn't realize this was out. It's like that fast after we
it was
did the
out.
trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they find this girl in their house, and they're like, "Should we call the police?" Probably not a good look for them, for 3 brown people to be standing around this unconscious white girl. So they decide, hey, we'll go take her to the hospital ourselves. And shenanigans happen because, you're handling a drunk girl and other people involved. So I enjoyed it. It's not as great as I was hoping it to be. I think it's a fun, kind of bromance story, really, about these 2 friends who are kind of reaching this turning point in their lives and wanted, trying to bond over this last... wanting to bond over this last time together, but, shit happens in the meantime. Also touching on, a lot of social issues, mainly, the treatment of black people by police, and how, how not, it isn't a universal experience. I feel like Cannell was raised in, a really well-to-do family, while Sean was not, and knows what the police are like for black people with first-hand experience and that kind of stuff. So yeah, of course you kind of have an idea of where it's going to go. But then the other thing, of course, is the sister of the white girl is trying to find her, and is, chasing them down. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of funny, amusing, sight gags and that kind of stuff. There's this, they go through this neighborhood, they stop their van so she can go, the white drunk girl, Emma, can go pee. And then 2 white people come out of their house and are filming them and telling them they need to leave because they think they're drug dealers. But on their lawn is a Black Lives Matter placard. Yeah. I think it's definitely worth watching, but yeah, I was kind of hoping it would be like this Grand Slam, but it was more like a triple.
3-pointer.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Sports analogy, eh?
Sports analogy, yeah, let's go. Alright, Dylan, we usually do a segment in which you finally got to watch something that everybody else had been watching. You finally got the chance to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. The next words that come in your mouth are going to be very important and decide whether we continue this podcast or not.
I hate that this is a segment that I have to talk about these things. Says a lot about my life. No, this movie's fantastic. Of course it is. What are you saying?
Thank God.
What are you saying? It's very fantastic. I actually think I was surprised that this movie goes so deep, while also being so funny. I feel like it's I think the tightrope between being what they tell such an interesting, meaningful story that actually has a lot of depth to it and introspective and thematic stuff, while also having dick jokes, weird, crazy scenes with other stuff. Maybe I don't want to spoil, but stuff to do with rocks, I guess I'll say, where I'm I can't believe this is a thing. There's just I think it's just crazy how it all works. It's just, it's very funny while also being very, who's the director of Tree of Life? Fuck.
Yeah.
It's very Terrence Malick.
Yes.
So it's Terrence Malick while with dick jokes, I feel like that's my description for this movie. It's Terrence Malick, but with dick jokes and crazy kung fu. And somehow it works. it's just, I think that would be my review of this movie. Yeah, put that on the poster. Because I didn't know, I haven't read any reviews. I just wanted to go in, like, the most I knew about this movie is everything I watched in that first trailer. So I know, and then everyone's like, the movie's fucking great. I'm like, cool, can I watch it? No. All right, I'll wait. But I haven't read anything. So I went in just thinking it would be a wild ride. And I didn't know, like, I assume in some of the reviews, people do mention that it's actually a lot deeper than maybe trailers led you on to believe. But I didn't know that. So we get like halfway through the movie. I'm like, man, this movie's going deep. This movie's like life, man, like life, you know, like this movie, like at some stage, I'm pretty sure like grabbed my hand and said, it's okay to take time to do things that don't mean anything. I'm like, it's okay, Will movie. Like, you know, so yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's definitely one of the best movies of the year. I think it's got these phenomenal performances by all of the main cast who play, you know, like they're playing themselves while also playing multiple versions from different realities and all this different stuff that's happening. I think their editing is fantastic. I actually think one of my favorite scenes in the movie, weirdly looking back on it, is just the opening. Like how fast paced it is, just moving around that laundromat and like blah, 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 like all this talking and like introducing the characters and quickly getting everything sort of set up and what's not. And the fact that it all takes place inside one office building mainly, while also having so much going on, is also sort of crazy. Yeah, and the editing is insane. Like I can't get over like the editing to a degree. Like I don't know what the fuck they were smoking when they made this movie, but my God, it's some good shit.
I mean, yeah, it's fantastic. It's still my favorite movie of the year. Just the crazy amount of setups they would have had to pull off is mind-boggling. And then be able to weave it all together in the editing suite is hella impressive.
Yeah, it's funny because that'd be, if anyone asked me like about this movie, that the number one thing that stands out to me isn't like, and there's some crazy scenes in it. It is the number one thing that stands out is like that last 15, 20 minutes, I guess, where it's like emotionally intense, I guess, and it goes for ages. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like it is just a very long intercut with multiple realities, with these like just very like deep, heartfelt conversations happening about life and family, and it's okay, like being okay to, you know, not have everything be about your job, or, you know, like all these sorts of things that are happening. And I was like, man, this movie is fucking deep. Yeah, so definitely one of the best movies of the year. Definitely one of the best movies of the year. I'm not sure if it would be my favorite, but it's definitely up there. I would have to think a bit more about some other things, but if I was to guess, it's probably top 3-ish, but I don't know if
it's been a good year so far, so.
It's been, yeah, so I would have to think more about it, but it's definitely a fucking fantastic movie.
All right. So I've watched a few more documentaries. This has been a thing for me. I've like, while I'm working, I like watch a couple of documentaries. So I checked out George Carlin's American Dream, which is a new documentary that just dropped on Binge the other day. Aired on HBO in America. Follows just a documentary on the life of the comedian George Carlin, like following his career trajectory as a young stand-up comedian, his kind of reinvention over the years, and how like influential he's kind of been, and how you know, kind of ahead of the times he kind of was with a lot of stuff he was like saying. You know, nowadays you still see George Carlin clips being played for various things. Of course, the timing of this is kind of interesting, with one of his specials being prominently about, you know, abortions and that kind of stuff. But yeah, following his career, like his struggles with drug addiction and his family life and his relationship with his first wife, and how, you know, they went through really hard times and kind of worked their way through it, and how, you know, he had troubles with finances, which pretty much meant that he had to keep working, because, you know, he was behind on a lot of his taxes and that kind of stuff, and if he didn't keep working, you know, they were going to take him for all he's worth or whatever. So I found it a really interesting documentary as someone who didn't necessarily know a lot about George Carlin and his career. It's definitely interesting looking back at how stand-up was back in the like 60s or whatever, compared to now, where, you know, we've got stand-up specials and all this sort of stuff, whereas, you know, you had to just show up on like one of the 3 television stations on a show. So
you know why I wish George Carlin was alive today?
What?
Because you tell Ricky Gervais to go fuck himself.
I think,
I legit think he would. I think he would.
Yeah.
George Carlin has always been like a very he's like out there, outrageous comedian, but he's someone who always punched up. He never punched down, and he was like outspoken on that too. Like your target for your jokes and stuff like that. And he was always ahead of the curve on a lot of issues. Like you're talking about the abortion rights and like stuff like that. He was a very outspoken sort of left leaning comedian who was very outrageous at the same time. So. I love George Carlin. I love George Carlin. I've watched a lot of George Carlin stuff, and that was because he obviously Kevin Smith put him in a bunch of his movies, and then I watched those when I was in high school, and then I was like, this dude's funny, so I went and was my introduction to George Carlin. So.
Yeah, so a lot of great comedians like commenting in the documentary, like Kevin Smith, Stephen Colbert, Jon Stewart, Hassan Minaj, Patton Oswalt. I think even they've got like a featurette on YouTube of like comedians talking about how great George Carlin was. So yeah, lots of important figures giving their 2 cents. I think it is produced by like Judd Apatow and someone else. So I mean, it's not surprising that they were able to get some reasonably big people involved. Yeah, so it's a 2-part documentary available on Binge now. So I would recommend checking that out. I also watched Lucy and Desi, which is the documentary by Amy Poehler following the life of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, who became one of the biggest power couples in Hollywood, and were probably most known for their run as husband and wife on I Love Lucy. As someone who didn't know a lot about Lucille Ball or Desi Arnaz, this was really interesting. Explaining how the I Love Lucy show came together, how they kind of became, they become like a powerful couple within Hollywood, like to the extent where they had their own studio and were like making other TV shows, and like it's because of Lucille Ball that we have Star Trek nowadays. They bought RKO Studios. It's like it's a pretty big deal back in the day. Yeah, kind of an interesting look at their lives and like explaining why I Love Lucy was such a phenomenon, and like exploring that and how their relationship worked. Clearly told by people who loved them. Yeah, it was a very interesting story. I think shot very well, and obviously they've got a lot of footage of like obviously them during I Love Lucy, but like a lot of other footage as well. Lots of other different sad stories as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed it and thought it was very informative. Especially, and should be watched by anyone who's like got an interest in film and television history. So yeah, I would recommend watching that. That's available on Amazon Prime at the moment. And then on the back of that, I watched The Center Seat, 55 Years of Star Trek, which is a documentary series that follows the history of Star Trek. Apparently it's still ongoing. I only watched the first 9-10 episodes, I want to say. I don't know. Binge has got only 9 episodes up. It pretty much just follows, the history of Star Trek, all the different shows and all the movies, starting from the beginning, kind of going in depth on the original series and like what impact that had, and then kind of exploring all the different behind the scenes dramas on each of the different shows, which there were a lot. The different issues with production, like how they tried to get the first movie made, and like how they were incredibly under budget. They didn't have like a sci-fi, they didn't have like a special effects team. They had to change it at the last minute. They were almost going to pull the director off. What's his name? Gene Roddenberry. That's who it is. He was apparently a bad writer, but he would just rewrite everybody else's stuff and take credit for it. To the extent where like someone like put in their contract, he wasn't allowed to rewrite their scripts. Otherwise they would be paid a lot of money. Yeah, lots of other dramas, like, and then kind of exploring each of the different shows and how they also had different struggles, like from Deep Space Nine, which was kind of the ugly duckling. They had this crazy concept, right, of having serialized television for Deep Space Nine instead of episodic television, and like they were not happy about that. Not happy at all that they had continuing storylines. But you know, nowadays it's like a highly regarded series because it's serialized and like how much it kind of lives on. And like one of my favorite stories is apparently people were picketing outside Paramount on the debut of Star Trek Enterprise because they did not like the theme song to Star Trek Enterprise. It was like a pop ballad song for the intro music, like the opening credits. They weren't fans, so they went to picket Paramount. Lots of fan complaints throughout the history of Star Trek, unsurprisingly.
Sounds like it, yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking that out if you're a Star Trek fan or want to learn more about Star Trek. As someone who's kind of been dipping their feet into Star Trek recently, it was an interesting watch.
Trainer.
All right. Dylan, one more thing. You checked out the first episode of Pokemon Hisui and Snow?
It's a new YouTube series. It's only going to be 3 episodes, but it's pretty cool. Animation style's done by the team that did some of the recent Pokemon movies, and some other anime properties, which I can't actually remember off the top of my head, but like they're big animation studios, so it looks really, really good. To the point that I'm really disappointed it's only going to be like this. It's a few animated shorts instead of well, it's one story just split up into a couple animated shorts. But I'm going to be very annoyed because I actually think the animation style is really cool. I'd love to see this as a full feature length series thing. But I will say, now that I'm here, since you mentioned Pokemon, to get my thing out. So, because I keep forgetting, I think I said last time I hadn't talked about it. I've finished now. So, I've watched the entirety of Pokemon. I think it's like season 23. I think it's like the official thing. And it's Pokemon Journeys is the subtitle name, but I think it's like season 23. It's on Netflix is where I watched it. They're currently about to start like airing season 3 or something like that of this like story, but it's really good. I was surprised. I think I tried rewatching getting into I was going to do a Pokemon. I think maybe a year or two ago, I started watching Pokemon from the start, like original series when I was a kid, rewatching it from there. And like there was some elements of enjoyment from a nostalgia level, but it was very tedious. It was very hard. Every episode was the same. You know, like Ash comes along somewhere, he probably comes into a new Pokemon or a Pokemon battle. He either battles someone or he like finds a new Pokemon and has to figure out how to capture it. Team Rocket shows up, beats them, blasting off again. Repeat. Like that is literally every single episode while Ash slowly moves forward. Eventually he gets to a city, has a gym battle. That's like the one sort of break, but everything is so the same. So I kind of burnt out and I couldn't bring myself to do that. But this new show, so Journey starts, it's like a good like fresh reset. Like it is technically connected to the rest where the character of Ash just never grows up and he's traveled around all these different continents and caught all these different Pokemons, and now he's come back to Kanto where, you know, and come back to his mum, and the series just sort of starts from fresh, and it introduces a brand new character called Go, spelled Goh, who's sort of like the co-star, I guess. Yeah, like the other main character. I mean, in some episodes, he's the main character and Ash is like not even in it. So, but each episode is like different. Everything is fun, exciting. Nothing's repetitive. Team Rocket is in it, but they may go episodes without them even showing up. And when they show up, they don't always do the same shit. They visit all continents. They're not just on the same one. So they'll literally go on a plane and visit like Galar from the recent games. That's like the main place they visit because that's obviously when this came out with that. But they'll also go to other places that visited in previous seasons. They'll bump into Mewtwo randomly in episode 15. Like they're not saving the big like legendaries for, you know, very things. It's just like, whoa, shit's happening. So, I'm legit think that this is a very good, season and, like a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. This is, yeah. So if you're like me and you're like, man, I loved watching Pokemon when I was a kid, but that shit's hard to watch now. I would say start here. This is a very good, like, starting point to get back into if you want to watch Pokemon. I'm very annoyed currently that the second season of this, like the continuing story of this arc, if you will, which is called Master Quest. Yeah, Master Quest. It's not on Netflix in Australia yet. It's not on the Pokemon TV app like it is in America and UK and all these places where it's on those two apps, Netflix and stuff. The only way I can watch it currently is I have to buy it off iTunes, but they do that thing where they like split it up into Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4, because that's what they do for animated kid shows. But each one costs like $35, so I'd have to pay like $100 for the whole season, which that's a bit too much for me. I'm trying to wait patiently. But it's also very annoying when Season 3 is about to start airing in Netflix in America, so I'm like, for fuck's sake. Anyway, there's my rant.
All right. Let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Jackass 4.5 released on Netflix, surprisingly. I assume they had some sort of deal in at some point as to why this came to Netflix first. But we did a spoiler cast with the Pop Culture's Ryan Betson, which should be up by the time this is out. But Dylan, as a big Jackass fan, as someone who liked Forever, what did you think of 4.5? And what is 4.5 for fans who don't know?
So for the original movie, or from 2 onwards, they started doing these like 0.5s, which was like, we've got so much footage, or they started shooting so much footage that they decided just to put it into another movie. And the first one of these was literally just sort of leftover scenes coupled together to make another movie. It was fine. From 3 and this one, or maybe 2. I can't remember if it was 1. I thought there was a 1.5. I don't think there was, or maybe I'm going insane. Maybe there was a 1.5. I can't fucking remember. I think it's just 2.5 up onwards. But yeah, this one and the last one in particular are very much more like docu-styled, which is interesting. Like, they have and randomly will show you stunts that didn't make the movie, but they're not always good ones. Often they're bad ones and failed, and they'll have interviews with the cast talking about why they failed, while also discussing other things that happened on set, the making of it, why they got back together to do this particular film, etc., etc., etc. So for this one, they're talking about like it's 10 years since the last one. They're a lot older now. They talk about bringing in the new cast. They talk about having to go through COVID while shooting it. So there's lots of interesting tidbits in here with some leftover stunts and stuff brought in to bring the whole package together. So yeah, I actually think it's better than Forever, just because as a package movie, I think it's a lot more interesting than Forever was by itself. But it's hard to say because it feel like you have to watch Forever for this to be as interesting as it is. So yeah, but yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked it as well. I like the documentary kind of format, maybe even more than just the random skits strung together, kind of, you know, explaining. And you get a little bit more character and get to know the cast, especially the new members and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would recommend checking it out if you're a fan of Jackass or just want to, you know, get a taste. You know, it is on Netflix, so it's readily available. The big release of the weekend, the thing that's taken up the most time in my life, Stranger Things 4, season 4, just 4. I don't know what they want to go with, but yes, after 3 years later, we finally returned to Hawkins. You know, everything seems normal. You know, we left on the cliffhanger. Is Hopper dead? No, surprisingly not. He is not dead, and it is quite amusing how he is not dead, in my opinion anyway. But
he jumped in a fridge. That's how Indiana Jones did it, spoiler.
Well, kind of. A little bit. Yeah. Yes, new season, new threat. Lots of kids are getting suddenly murdered in a pretty gruesome way by something from the Upside Down. And the kids have, you know, got a team back up to try and figure out how to stop them. In the meantime, 11 is over in California and is unable to control, doesn't have her powers anymore, having trouble filling in. Mike goes to visit her. Bad things happen. She gets arrested. Other things happen. You know, she has to find a way to maybe get her powers back. Dylan, you've only watched the first 4 episodes. What are you thinking so like far of Stranger Things season 4?
It's long. Each episode being like an hour 10, hour 20 is a choice. Not complaining, but also it's long.
Does it feel long though, or is it? Did you find that it was too long?
It just feels weird. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. So me, it just continued. I wasn't really paying attention to how long things were.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe it's just because I'm used to like Stranger Things episodes being that 50 ish minutes or whatever, like Netflix time. It's just it feels weird. It feels like I'm watching a movie every time because like basically getting close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I got to be completely honest though. I came into this season going, man, final season. Let's see how this goes. And then I was like, oh wait, apparently they said this isn't the final season anymore, and I missed that memo. Like they're like, no, season 5 is going to be last one. I'm like, okay, my bad. For some reason, I was coming into this one thinking it was. The kids are all very much older now. That's crazy how time works.
Mm-hmm.
The story I feel is somewhat interesting, but I'm also at the point where I'm like, how are they going to drag this long for a 5th season? Because it's almost at the point where it's like, man, there's another one of these fuckers in Upside Down causing shitstorms. Like, how many of them are there? How will we ever have this goddamn place closed up and finished for good? Like, let's figure that stuff out. There's also an element of Elle with better powers that I'm like, man, not that you're boring, but I just really want to see you pop that other girl's head off, and it's just annoying not being able to see you do that. So
I remember something else we watched recently that I hated some girl that was teasing somebody. Because Angela is the worst and is the true villain of the season. She's barely in it.
Yeah, I'm hoping
she doesn't get what she
does.
deserves.
I know she doesn't. That's disappointing.
Yeah, not yet. There's 2 more episodes, so I mean.
Okay, I was about to say. God, I hope she
things don't look likely.
Pop her fucking head off if I was Elle. I'll tell you as soon as I get powers back. Yeah, and the Hopper stuff is like, yep, you survived. That's very convenient, right? So I wasn't the biggest fan of that, but whatever. Otherwise, it's just fun to have the characters back. I'm definitely enjoyed like seeing them all interacting with one another and the fun little tidbits and stuff like that. But I would say so far it's not as good as last season, like based off my 4 episodes. Yeah.
Okay. What did you think of Dear Billy? Because everybody's claiming it's the best episode of Strange Things ever.
I think it's a very good episode. I don't think it's as good as everyone's saying. I think was it Sadie? So I think she gives a really good performance, but I think like combined with everything else that's happening in the episode and like whatnot, I definitely like, I don't know, it sort of takes away like, cause we're constantly cutting away and like, I think she gives a good performance in that episode, but I don't think it's as like everyone's claiming it's one of the best episodes of TV ever. I'm like, okay, like go watch Better Call Saul, calm down.
That's fair. Yeah, I think it's a great season so far. A great build, and I just kind of wish they were all together. Is the only thing. Like,
what's
I
the
wish
explanation?
all 9 episodes.
What's the reason? Have they said like what's the go?
I don't know. Like, maybe it's a special effects thing.
Just for shits and gigs, or
I think it's a special effects thing. It's like they haven't got them done for the last 2 episodes. So rather than
because they're like 3 hours each, right?
I mean, apparently it's 1.5 hours and 2.5 hours for the last 2 episodes.
Right.
Which makes sense because it's 9 episodes this season rather than the usual 10. So, I mean, it's like they're combined.
But still, every episode's also lot longer anyway. This season's probably like 15 episodes long total.
Maybe a little bit, but, you know.
Yeah.
I think, you know, again, the build is really great. I think, you know, there's a lot of history that's rewritten or more fleshed out. You get a lot more explanations to Elle's past. Yeah, and then it's fun seeing all the kids interact. I feel like they do a solid job of like giving each of the parties time in each episode. Obviously, you've got Mike, his brother, and Will, you know, on their adventure with what's his face from The Package, playing the same character he's played in every single movie he's appeared in.
I was gonna say, wasn't he in Booksmart?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, Eduardo something, I can't remember. But yeah, he plays the same stoner sort of character and everything. You know, and then you've got like all the kids still in Hawkins, like trying to figure out what's happening. And then you've got Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
And the
dude.
Murray, that's his name.
Yeah.
You know, trying to find a way to save Hopper. I kind
of hate how everyone's split up, to be honest. It's sort of annoying.
I mean, that's kind of what they've been doing the last few seasons. Like, they're all split up and then they all come back together at the end.
Yeah, I know, but that's why I think it's annoying, because I'm like, we've done this.
That's why they're doing a season 5, so they can all be together. One last time.
This. Like,
I have an idea of what they could potentially be wanting to do for season 5, but yeah, we'll wait till we see the last 2 episodes of the season. Yeah.
Okay. I will say I very much enjoy the monster though. Like, as much as I'm like, oh, what the fuck did this do? Just the fact that it's a dude in a suit. I think it makes, like, you can tell, because it doesn't look like, compared to last season, big CGI slugfest monster thing happening, right? But it's very scary, person. Very grounded looking person, because it is a person on set and stuff like that. So I think that helps. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to you once you finished the last few episodes.
Are you telling me he transforms into a big CGI fuckface monster?
Oh no.
Okay, good. People been
I think you'll be too gory. Happier.
Okay, good. Yeah, I said people are like, oh, season's too scary. Season's too gory. Get the fuck out of here, bunch of babies.
I mean, it is pretty gory.
It is gory and it is scary, but in my mind, here's how
it's an escalation. Right? So
the it's always been a horror show. Like, as much as people like to pretend, it has always been a horror show. At the end of the day, the kids are getting older. Horror's going to get better or more adult. I think it only makes sense. I think as the kids get older, the horror gets elevated along. I mean,
there's some pretty disturbing imagery. Like, Robert Englund shows up for an episode.
Yeah, I saw that.
Looking messed up.
Yeah, it's good shit. Every time someone gets killed in this, it's horrible. It's great. Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, the show's too scary now. Get out of here.
I mean, there is some
very much Care Bears.
Questionable CGI and de-aging stuff later in the season, later in this volume, I guess. Around Elle and that, but for the most part, it's really good. Okay, so yeah, I'm looking forward to you finishing it so we can discuss it in a spoilercast later in the week, hopefully, and also Volume 2 coming July 1st. I want to say off the top of my head, which is too far away.
It is a whole month.
It is. Just give it to me now. All right.
Lucky you've got other stuff to watch. It's okay, Ash. You will survive.
Will I though? Yes. So I've also watched the first few episodes of The Lincoln Lawyer, which is on Netflix. I thought this
that's a movie.
No, this is the TV series that is not a direct continuation of the movie.
Is this like Limitless? Oh no, that was a continuation.
No, that was a continuation. This is just like picking up fresh. Like This is like Reacher.
Okay.
Yeah, where it's not related to them. But they do go to the second book. They're not covering the same material as the movie. But yeah, it's interesting. It's
like The Girl in the Spider Nest.
Yeah, sure. I don't think it was called that, but
I think it's something like that.
I think it was something like that, but I don't think it was that. Follows Mickey Haller, who was a defense attorney who has been like away from being a lawyer for the last 18 months after recovering from like drug addiction to painkillers, who suddenly gets one of his former colleagues dies or is murdered, and his entire firm and caseload are given to Mickey. So now he has to like run that law firm, run all those cases that he knows very little about because his former colleague did not keep a good record of stuff that was happening. And including this big case, which is the big one going over the entire season of the Trevor Elliott, who was suspected of killing his wife and the person his wife was having an affair with. I'm enjoying it. It's like fun legal fluff. I think it's got an interesting hook of like this lawyer who just is kind of bumbling from situation to situation because he doesn't know. He's got this case load that he doesn't really know much about, so he has to quickly figure out how to defend them and that kind of stuff, but also have the ongoing arc of the season of this big high-profile case that he's trying to figure out how to solve or defend his client with. And then also he's under threat because, his former colleague who was murdered, like, why was he murdered? Is he at risk? and that kind of stuff. So I'm enjoying it. It's got a fun cast of characters. Like Nev Campbell plays his first ex-wife. Becky Newton plays his second ex-wife. And Angus Sampson plays like his go-to investigator.
I thought you was about to say third ex-wife. I was like, fucking hell. How far are we going?
No, but Angus Sampson, his go-to investigator, is set to marry his second ex-wife. So, it's all over the place. Of course, the big thing is he drives around in a Lincoln car,
Whoa.
Yeah. He likes to be on the move, and that makes sense in LA because, there's a lot of traffic. Yeah, really enjoyable. I understand why it's rated, it's like very watched on Netflix. It's been in the top. It was like number 1 on Netflix until Stranger Things came out. So it's like enjoyable. So yeah, I would recommend checking out Lincoln Lawyer. That's everything in our watch history this week. Let's get into a little bit of news. And the big thing that happened over the weekend, Star Wars Celebration happens. We're not going to go too deep into it because you can head over to Holocron Entries, in which we cover all the news, all the major news from Star Wars Celebration over there. But Dylan, what do you think was the most important news out of Star Wars Celebration this weekend? Biggest story.
Honestly, don't know. That's a very hard question. I don't feel like there was no the biggest thing, if it had to happen, would have been anything movie related. But all we got was Taika Waititi's movies. Still, apparently, they're going to be the next.
Apparently, it's coming next year.
Yeah, it's apparently the next movie, which I'm like, how do you make a Star Wars movie that fast? But sure,
it's set in one room.
I mean,
it's bottle.
People will watch it. People will watch it. From the director of Thor, and Thor comes Star Wars. People will watch it. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the one major trailer we got was for Andor, so that was cool, but not like mind blowing. So I would say some of the most interesting stuff I've read is stuff we didn't talk about on the podcast because it's like book related and stuff like that. Like they're moving into High Republic, like a second, whatever you want to call it, like
second wave or whatever.
Wave of storytelling there, which is exciting. Even if I don't have the time to keep up with everything, it's always nice to just be reading what's happening. So all of that. But yeah, I guess like on a movie TV front, the Andor trailer solely because it does give you those Rogue One vibes, but it wasn't mind blowing, but probably that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's not like a massive reveals or anything. It was just like kind of, a celebration of Star Wars, really. And it kind of teases to what's coming forward. Of course, we got information about Mandalorian Season 3, which is coming next year, and of course Ahsoka, which is shooting at the moment.
Next year as well, apparently.
Next year as well. Getting teasers to what characters involved in that. But yeah, good time. Go check that out over on Holocron Entries. So news that broke just after we recorded the last episode. I feel like we didn't talk about it anywhere else, so now is the good time to talk about it. Doctor Who confirms that has revealed that David Tennant and Catherine Tate are returning Doctor Who as part of the show's 60th anniversary celebrations. The Doctor and Donna parted ways when the Doctor had to wipe Donna's memory, making her forget him in order to save her life. He left her family with a warning: if she ever remembers, she will die. But with the two coming face to face once more, the big question is just what brings the Doctor and Donna back together. Russell T Davies, showrunner, says they're back, and it looks impossible. First we announce a new Doctor, and then an old Doctor, along with wonderful Donna. What on earth is happening? Maybe this is a missing story, a parallel world, a dream, a trick, or a flashback. The only thing I confirm is this is going to be spectacular. Two of our greatest stars reunite for the battle of a lifetime. Dylan, what was your reaction when you saw this news?
That's cool. I don't. That's what Nicholas Fryer shout out for this week. Yeah, I mean, I was like, that's cool, but like, I can't. In a world where we've discussed and not being super impressed with the writing and stories for the last couple of seasons of Doctor Who, bringing back David Tennant and Catherine Tate is like cool from a, hey, I really like them point of view, but they're not the stars of the show. They're not the current, he's not the current acting Doctor, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, it's going to be a blast of like injection of feel good, and I presume they'll be great, and I would expect that. but it doesn't like settle me. I still need to like, let's see what the new Doctor's like. Let's see what this is going to look like. That's going to excite me going forward. But yeah, there's just a lot happening at the moment. I'm very intrigued to see how all the pieces start coming together. And, you know, like if they suddenly, you see pictures of Matt Smith on set or something crazy, I'll be like, oh, what the fuck's going on? Like, like crazy world happening right now. But
yeah, it's an interesting choice to bring them back, especially after all this time. It's been like a decade since they last appeared together. Of course, the timing of the announcement was because they're shooting stuff right now. There's like so much footage on Twitter of like them shooting in the streets of London or England or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it raises a lot of questions as to what the future of Doctor Who holds, and like, I guess it makes sense rating-wise to go back to arguably your most popular Doctor with, I guess, their most interesting companion. Although apparently Freema Agyeman is set to return as well, is what I've heard. Yeah, I guess it's cool that we're finally revisiting some older Doctors, but why? And how do you make Ncuti follow that up? I mean, it's really interesting. I guess he's got to shoot Sex Education probably later this year. So I guess you need something to fill in the time period in between. So, but yeah, I'm keen to see Dr. David Tennant return as the Doctor. I don't know how it's happening, but I'm excited to find out. All right. So this is an interesting story. So in celebration of Global Accessibility and Awareness Day, Netflix is gearing up to expand its accessibility features across the globe, launching a new collection highlighting stories focused on people living with disabilities. Celebrating disabilities with Dimension will function much like platforms' other special collections that pull from Netflix's catalogue of existing content, with the goal of promoting their visibility as users browse the surface. In addition to the new collection, Netflix is also beefing up its audio descriptions and subtitles for deaf and hard of hearing in more languages, including Spanish, French, Korean, and Portuguese. So yes, Netflix expanding their subtitling and different audio, or they're increasing their subtitling for all their offerings. Clearly a good move, and if we can get better subtitling, especially for foreign language content, that can only be for the better for everybody.
Yeah, I know. Like from an accessibility point of view, it's very good, but like just for people who need it more than like us as mostly abled people. I mean, we wear glasses, but other than that, we're good. But yeah, then there's also the fact that all those complaints last year about Squid Game's translations not being spot on, and a lot of like even character motives being lost because of the delivery or the way the lines were translated were incorrect. So like a character could have been trying to be sarcastic, but it was like translated as just straight, and like a lot of just when you get into the nuances of language and like translation being lost is a complaint people had. So yeah, definitely good.
Yeah, especially with Netflix, like their foreign language content is like kind of one of their biggest growth areas, and like
yeah, I was about to say definitely their biggest growing area of the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's like a corner of the market that the other major streaming services haven't really tapped, So that's the kind of thing that separates them from like the other streaming services. They've got all this foreign language content that nobody else has. So yeah, it's cool, especially for other people who don't necessarily speak English, or like in other countries as well. They're doubling down on this. I think it's like smart, very smart. Yeah, so keen to hear about that. Dylan, have you heard about this Winnie the Pooh story as a massive Winnie the Pooh fan?
Yes.
Okay, reading from Variety, A.A. Milne's original Winnie the Pooh stories only lapsed in the public domain 5 months ago, but the tubby little cubby has already made his foray into slasher films. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey wrapped earlier this month, and the first stills show a demonic poo piglet about to pounce on a scantily clad young woman relaxing in a hot tub have already set the internet afire. Interview with director Reese Waterfield, who was in post-production on 4 other films, including Firenado and Demonic Christmas Tree, said the response to the stills have been absolutely crazy. According to Waterfield, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey will see Pooh and Piglet as the main villains going on a rampage after being abandoned by college-bound Christopher Robin. Christopher Robin is pulled away from them and he's not giving them food. It's made Pooh and Piglet's life quite difficult because they've had to fend for themselves so much they've essentially become feral. So they're gone back to their animal roots. They're no longer tame. They're like a vicious bear and pig who want to go around and try and find prey. Dylan, is the public domain a mistake?
No, the public domain is not a mistake. I'll not fall for this. Don't twist me. As much as I hate what's happening, the public domain is a good thing. And as much as, look, this sounds horrible. I'm definitely going to watch it because I won't be able to help myself. I'll say that right now. As much as I think this sounds horrible, I'm definitely going to watch this out of intrigue. Because the fact he's producing 4 movies at the same time, is post on 4 movies at the same time, I smell nothing but quality. You know what I mean? But yeah, I guess I've seen a lot of people like spitting shit over this. Who like, look, Disney, it doesn't mean Disney's not going to keep making Winnie the Pooh stuff. Disney still can keep making the classic Winnie the Pooh stuff. They have been. I mean, Winnie the Pooh went in the public domain
Winnie the
months
Pooh
ago.
with like the red shirt. That's still
that's
Disney.
theirs. Disney owns that. But Winnie the Pooh as a like the core, it's no different to like Little Mermaid. Like a bunch of Disney stuff is actually public domain or like owned by other people to like a lot of their stuff. So it's just they have their Disney version that their copyright is owned on. So yeah, the red shirt is their one difference. It's like I don't know what a good example would be. It's like these a bunch of this is a weird example, but this is coming from work, I guess. It's like if you have like a bunch of different fridges and like different companies have their own version of black, or even like a phone. Say like a Samsung phone is like they copyright their version of the black and they call it something, and then like Apple makes a black phone and they call it some weird thing, their version of black, and they copyright that color of black, but you can't copyright black because it's a color. Everyone can use that. But those specific, slightly off-colored versions of black, they're copyrighted. So that's, or trademarked, I guess. That's what this is. So Disney's got red shirt Pooh. Everyone else can now do blue shirt Pooh, murderous Pooh, Pooh with 2 heads. Like whatever. They go absolutely crazy. So it's a weird world, but in general, the public domain is a very good thing for creators. The main I don't want to go on a spiel about why, but my quick thing on it is a very easy library of stories, materials, sounds, video footage, all sorts of things that for upcoming filmmakers they can use to incorporate into their story or use as a basis for the story in the case of this character. And they don't have to use any money or anything to deal with it. It's movie footage, stock footage, ideas. They don't have to pay anything. So in general, public domain is a very, very good thing.
Yeah, okay. In my mind, this was not what the first Winnie the Pooh movie after it went to public domain would be. But it makes sense. Like a cheap horror movie, sure. Am I going to watch this? No. Am I happy it's being made? Not really. Clearly it feels a little bit like a cash grab. But yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's an interesting idea at the very least. And I look forward to Disney, like somebody using this as an example as to why they should keep the copyrights for as longer. So,
but that's horrible. See, that's the thing. Like, that's what I hope doesn't happen because everyone likes to argue that Disney owns too much, and then all of a sudden something like this happens, and then all of a sudden it's like everyone's back on Disney's side. Like, oh, maybe it's right. You should own everything forever and ever. And weren't they trying to already delete or extend the public? Wasn't that Disney was already trying to do that?
Yeah, for like obviously like Mickey Mouse and things like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
I don't know. It's confusing. Like if they're still making content for that character, why should you have access to it? I don't know.
I know. It's copyright's interesting, but yeah, for
Yes.
people who don't know, like it's 100 years. Like is the
I think now it's 100 years. Before it was not. It was like
before it was
shorter.
less. It was
less.
a lot less, but now it's 100 years. So I mean, 100 years is a long time.
I mean, it is, but I guess we'll see where things go. So last week over in America, they had the big upfronts, where they have all the TV stations come out to their advertisers and tell them what shows are going to be coming out the next year to get them interested into throwing money at their television station. So every year we go through all the different shows that have been announced, and Dylan, you're going to predict, is it going to last longer than one season? So let's jump straight in. I have not read any of these descriptions yet, so it's going to be a surprise for both of us. First up, we'll start with ABC. First show is Alaska. Eileen Fitzgerald is a recently disgraced reporter who leaves her high-profile New York life behind to join a daily metro newspaper in Anchorage on a journey to find both personal and professional redemption, starring Hilary Swank, Jeff Perry, and Matt Malloy.
No, one season.
All right. Next show, Avalon. Set in the main city of Avalon on Catalina Island, where the LA Sheriff Department Detective Nicole Cersei heads up a small office. Catalina has a local population that serves more than 1 million tourists a year, and each day when the ferries arrive, hundreds of potential news stories enter the island. Detective Cersei is pulled into a career-defining mystery that will change everything she knows about herself and the island. Cast TBA.
More than one season.
More than one season. Next up, The Rookies, Feds. Follow Simone Clark, the oldest rookie in the FBI Academy, spin-off from the ABC series The Rookie, starring Niecy Nash-Betts, Frankie Faison, and Felix Solis.
More than one season. I'm just assuming it's got a spin-off, so
Yeah, probably.
that show's popular then, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, The Rookie's like 4 or 5 seasons in now, I think.
Okay, yeah, I've never don't know anything about it. But let's I'll say more than one season, yeah.
Okay. Not dead yet. Nell Stevens, a broke and newly single self-described disaster, works to restart the life and career she left behind 10 years ago. When she lands the only job she can find, writing obituaries, Nell starts getting life advice from an unlikely source, adapted from Alexandra Potter's book Confessions of a 40-something fuck-up, starring Gina Rodriguez, Joshua Bande, and Angela Gibbs.
More than one season.
All right. That's ABC. Let's move over to CBS. We've got East New York. Regina Hayward is a newly promoted police captain of East New York, an impoverished working-class neighborhood on the eastern edge of Brooklyn. She leads a diverse group of officers and detectives, some of whom are reluctant to deploy her creative methods of serving and protecting amidst the midst of social upheaval and the early seeds of gentrification, starring Amanda Warren and Jimmy Smits.
Only one season.
Okay. Fire Country. Seeking redemption in a shortened prison sentence, young convict Bodie Donovan joins a firefighting program that returns to his small Northern California hometown, where he and other inmates work alongside elite firefighters to extinguish massive blazes across the region. Inspired by Max Theriot's experiences growing up in Northern California fire country, starring Max Theriot, Billy Burke, Kevin Alejandro.
Only one season because Americans hate global warming.
Okay. So Help Me Todd. Despite their opposing personalities, a talented but directionless PI who is the black sheep of his family begrudgingly agrees to work as the in-house investigator for his oath-bearing mother, a successful attorney reeling from the recent dissolution of her marriage. Starring Marsha Gay Harden, Skylar Aston, Madeline Weiss, and Inga Shingelman.
Nah, one season.
Okay. True Lies. Shocked to discover that her bland and unremarkable consultant husband is a skilled international spy, an unfulfilled suburban housewife is propelled into a life of danger and adventure when she is recruited to work alongside him to save the world as they try to revitalize their passionless marriage. starring Steve Howie, Ginger Gonzaga, Omar Miller.
Just one season.
It's a shame.
Yeah, same. Go watch the movie.
Go. Can't argue with that.
Very classic.
Moving over to Fox, you've got Accused. Each episode opens in a courtroom with the accused without knowing their crime or how they ended up on trial. It follows how an ordinary person got caught up in an extraordinary situation, ultimately revealing how one wrong turn leads to another until it's too late to turn back. Based on the BBC series, starring Michael Chiklis, Marley Martin, and Jill Hennessy.
More than one season.
Okay.
Crime shows, bangers.
They are. Alert! When police officer Nikki Parker's son goes missing, she joins the LAPD's missing persons unit to help other people find their loved ones, even as she searches for her own. 6 years later, her world is turned upside down when her ex-husband shows up with a proof-of-life photo from their missing boy. Or is it? Procedural drama includes a search for a missing person in each episode, alongside the overarching story of Nikki and Devon's quest to find the truth about the person claiming to be their long-lost son.
Yeah. Was there a cast?
There's no cast.
I'm gonna say no then.
Alright. Next up, we've got Monarch. Multi-generational musical drama about America's first family of country music. The Romans are fiercely talented, but while their name is synonymous with honesty, the very foundation of their success is a lie. When their reign as country royalty is put into jeopardy, Nikki Roman, the heir to the crown already battling an industry stacked against her, will stop at nothing to protect her family's legacy. Starring Susan Sarandon, Albie Roman, Anna Friel.
Yeah, more than one season.
Sounds like, what was that other country music show?
Nashville.
Yeah. Sounds like that.
Yeah.
Grimsburg. In Grimsburg, Marvin Flute may be the greatest detective to ever catch a cannibal clown or correctly identify a mid-century modern armory. But there's one mystery he still can't crack. His family. Now that he's back in Grimsburg, a town where everyone has a secret or three, Flute will follow every lead he's got to redeem himself with the ex-wife he never stopped loving, even if it means hanging out with the son he never bothered to get to know. Starring John Hamm.
Is this a spin-off of Grimsby?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. In that case, I'll say more than one season because John Hamm.
Oh, this is an animated show. Just,
It better one season. Yeah, let's go more than one season.
Okay. Crapopolis. Set in mythical ancient Greece, the series centers on a flawed family of humans, gods, and monsters that tries to run one of the world's first cities without killing each other. Assuming again that this is it's an animated show. Created by Dan Harmon, starring Hannah Waddingham, Richard Ayoade, and Matt Berry.
More than one season.
All right.
I'm keen for that actually.
All right. Moving over to NBC, we've got Quantum Leap. It's been 30 years since Dr. Sam Beckett stepped into the Quantum Leap Accelerator and vanished. Now a new team has assembled to restart the project in hopes of understanding the mysteries behind the machine and the man who created it. Starring Raymond Lee, Ernie Hudson, Caitlin Bassett.
One season.
Lopez versus Lopez, a working class family comedy about dysfunction, reconnection, and all the pain and joy in between. Starring George Lopez, Mayan Lopez, and Salinas Leva.
More than one season. I think he's quite popular, right? I think in America, George Lopez.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, so I'll go more than one season.
All right. Night Court. Unapologetic optimist judge Abby Stone, the daughter of the late Harry Stone, follows in her father's footsteps as she presides over the night shift of the Manhattan Arrangement Court and tries to bring order to its crew of oddballs and cynics, most notably former Night Court prosecutor Dan Felding, based on the 1984 to 1992 NBC series, now starring Melissa Roach, John Larroquette, and India de Beaufort.
No. One season.
Okay. Last, we've got CW. who
Not
finally,
dead.
we'll see. We've
Rest
got.
in peace.
I didn't say they'd have one season on their network.
That's true.
We got Gotham Knights. In the wake of Bruce Wayne's murder, his rebellious adopted son forges an unlikely alliance with the children of Batman's enemies when they are all framed for killing the Cape Crusader. As the city's most wanted criminals, this renegade band of misfits must fight to clear their names. But in Gotham, with no Dark Knight to protect it, the city descends into the most dangerous it's ever been. However, hope comes from the most unexpected places, as this team of mismatched fugitives will become its next generation of savers, known as the Gotham Knights. Starring Fallon Smith, Tyler DiChiara, and Olivia Rose Keegan.
More than one season.
Alright. Walker, Independence. Walker origin story set in the late 1800s follows Abby Walker, an affluent Bostonian whose husband is murdered before her eyes while on the journey out west. On her quest for revenge, Abby crossed paths with Hoyt Rollins, a lovable rogue in search of purpose. Abby and Hoyt's journey takes them to Independence, Texas, where they encounter diverse, eclectic residents running from their troubled pasts and chasing their dreams. Our newfound family will struggle with the changing world around them while becoming agents of change themselves in a town where nothing is what it seems. Starring Justin Johnson Cortez, Matt Barr, Greg Bavencian, Catherine McNamara. I assume she plays the Abby.
One season. I don't think that new one did well, right? I don't know.
I mean, it's still going, so I mean...
It's still going, but just, I think.
Alright. And finally, The Winchesters. Supernatural prequel follows, told from the perspective of narrator Dean Winchester, follows the epic, untold love story of how John met Mary and how they put it all on the line not only to save their love, but the entire world. Starring Nita Kurshid, Jojo Fleets, Meg Donnelly, Drake Roger.
More than one season.
Alright. I guess we'll find out in 12 months how we go.
At least 12 months.
Yeah. I'm assuming there was nothing there that, like, you're really keen to check out.
The Dan Harmon Show.
Yeah, okay.
Bunch of cast I like. Dan Harmon I like. Usually like his stuff.
Yeah.
That's probably it from that list.
I don't know. I look forward to being surprised down the road. Being surprised by something. It's like, turns out to be better than it actually is. Yeah. Alright. So that's all the film news for this week. Let's move into giving some thumbs to some trailers. So, of course, you can find all the trailers for this week's segment in the show notes below. Good slate of trailers this week. Had to leave some off the list. Let's kick things off. We've got Bros, directed by Nicholas Stoller, starring Billy Eichner and Luke McFarlane, Tis Madison, Monica Raymond, Gilmoro Diaz, Guy Branum, and Amanda Beers. Two men with commitment problems attempt a relationship. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for Bros?
Great trailer. Double thumbs up. I love Billy Eichner. Weirdly, before this, I didn't know this movie was a thing. And I periodically, randomly, whenever YouTube suggests it to me, it'll just come up and be like, hey, it's been like 3-4 months since you've watched this. Do you want to watch like a montage of Billy Eichner on the street video? Like best moments? And I go, yes, I would like to rewatch that. And I do every time. That's what happened a couple days ago. So, I think this looks very funny. I like the whole sort of meta-ness of it. I think that works to a degree. I'm keen for this. I think it was a double thumbs up trailer, and I'm keen.
Yeah, there's double thumbs up for me. Like you said, like the meta-ness of him discussing on his podcast, being asked to write in rom-com, and then the rom-com being pretty much exactly what he's describing, kind of. Pretty fantastic. Some pretty fantastic lines, like him asking what he wants from a gay rom-com, whether he wants, him and Jason Momoa butt fucking while they're about to be destroyed by a volcano. Much better delivered by Billy Eichner, but yeah, great line. It looks really good, even as a straight person. I think it looks like a good, fun time. One of the first ever like gay comedies by a major studio. So yeah, this looks really good. So I'm excited to check this out. Again, double thumbs up. This one is coming to cinemas here in Australia, 27th of October. Next up, we've got The Grey Man, directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, starring Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, Jessica Henwick, Renee John Page, Wagner Moreau, Julia Butters, Dinesh, Alfred Woodard, and Billy Bob Thornton. When the CIA's top asset, his identity is known to no one, uncovers agency secrets, he triggers a global hunt by assassins set loose by his ex-colleague. What do you think of The Grey Man?
I'm going one up, one down on the trailer. I'm keen to watch this. I love Chris Evans playing the bad guy in this. I love Ryan Reynolds and basically everything he's in.
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, sorry. It's fucking too many Ryans these days. So Ryan Gosling. So I think the cast is really cool. But yeah, the trailer I just thought was a bit messy. I just feel like it was just all over the place, a bit too fastly edited, just a bit too hectic. You come off a trailer for Mission Impossible, which we'll talk about in a minute, and that was like, I'm like, okay, well, 2 spy action movies, and that one came out like the day before, and then I watched this one, I think dropped on Twitter the next morning or something, so maybe that didn't help as well. But yeah, I'm going one up, one down. I'm keen to watch it, but I didn't think the trailer was great.
Yeah, I think I'll give it one up, one down as well. I think, it's cool seeing Chris Evans play this kind of weird bad guy, very against type, what we've seen him in recently. Whereas Ryan Gosling is kind of playing the same kind of character we've seen him play a bit recently. Feels like the extension of his character from The Nice Guys, except courageous and like a killing machine. I'm very excited, seeing it looks pretty good. I think they do, setting it up, marketing wise, it's a good choice to put in from the directors of Captain America, Civil War, Winter Soldier, Endgame. But yeah, I'm excited, but yeah, it could be a bit of a mess. We'll see. So this one is coming to Netflix July 22nd, and potentially a theatre in the U on July 15th. I'm talking to everybody but Dylan. Speaking of messy trailers, next one, 3,000 Years of Longing, directed by George Miller, starring Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton. While attending a conference in Istanbul, Dr. Alithia Bini happens to encounter a djinn who offers her 3 wishes in exchange for his freedom. Dylan, what did you think of this trailer?
It's wild. Absolutely wild. Double thumbs up, though. I don't really understand what's going on fully, other than that it's a genie in a bottle and there's flashbacks to other times.
You gotta rub it the right way, right?
You gotta rub it the right way. Yeah, typical 3 wishes, but I don't know what she causes Tilda Swinton's character, how she gets in trouble with it, and then you got these flashbacks. I guess other times the genie was helping people out, and I guess he's telling these stories maybe or something like that, or whatever else. Either way, wild, absolutely wild, bonkers trailer. But I mean, I don't think George Miller's made a bad movie in his life. I don't know. Some people would say Babe 2, I guess.
Or Happy Feet 2.
Happy Feet 2. So. But either way, George Miller, I'm down. I'm definitely down. Double thumbs up. I know it was a wild trailer. It cooked my eyes were I don't know what I'm looking at, but I'm looking sort of. Tilda Swinton, for some reason we've got this accent. I don't know why, but anyway, yeah, I'm going double thumbs up. I'm keen to watch it.
I went one up, one down, because it's messy and hectic and what is going on. Even though it's enjoyable and I'm excited to watch it, especially seeing some of the reviews out of Cannes saying it's an incredible movie. As a trailer, it's a lot and maybe too much. It's a lot. So one up, one down for me. I think I'm very excited, keen to check this out. It sounds like it's going to be it's going to be I think he said it's the opposite of Mad Max, where that movie had very little dialogue. This has a lot of dialogue, and it seems it's but it's crazy what they're putting in this movie. If you want a movie in which Elvis is very big, it's the one for you.
Sure.
This one's coming to Australian cinemas 1st September. Actually, speaking of Idris Elba, he's in our next trailer for Beast, directed by Baltasar Komikar, starring Idris Elba, Sharlto Copley, Iana Haley, Leah Sava Jeffries, and Riley Keough. A recently widowed man and his two teenage daughters travel to a game reserve in South Africa. However, their journey of healing soon turns into a fight for survival when a bloodthirsty lion starts to stalk them. Dylan, what do you think of this Jaws remake starring a lion?
Yeah, I'm down, eh? I mean, these movies get sort of sillier and sillier when it's just like, why is this animal doing this? Like, what's the reason for anything that's going on in this movie? But all I did was watch this and go, I love a good animal trying to kill people thing. I do, admittedly. A good one's a good one. The last good one we had was Kroll, a couple years ago. Bunch of crocodiles, tornado, whatever it was. That was
Hurricane,
great.
I think.
Good movie. Hurricane. Great movie. Really great.
Wasn't
Sort of,
Crocodile.
yeah, but it was, obviously there's the silliness, but that one was, that was good. That's the last good one we've had. Now this one, I'm a bit worried about the CGI on the animal. At times it doesn't look perfect, but I mean, it's a trailer. They've got time to tone that shit up. But the other thing I had was like, I like Idris Elba. I really like Ashley Hobley too. So now I've got them both in a movie together, trying to live and not get killed by this animal. I'm like, I'm down. I'm down. Double thumbs up. I think it was a tense trailer, build up well, and I'm keen to watch it. You are not going to watch this, but what would you rate the trailer?
I would give it 2 thumbs up as like a this type of thriller, I guess, kind of horror-esque movie. I think, it does a good job of setting the tension a lot. You don't know where's the line going to come from. Is it going to come from behind you, from the front of you? It could come from anywhere. Fucking crazy cat.
Fucking crazy cat.
And it does end on a high point of Idris Elba punching it in the face. So I mean, what a way to end the trailer and like give you something that like I need to see this movie because I need to see Idris Elba punch a lion
in the face.
Yeah. All right, so this one is coming to cinemas on August 25th. So look forward to that. Last trailer for this week: Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, Part 1. Directed by Chris McQuarrie, starring Tom Cruise, Ving Rhames, Henry Senry, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, Frederick Schmidt, Haley Atwell, Pom Clementif, Shea Wingham, Isai Morales, Rob Delaney, and Carrie Ools. There is no plot for the movie so far. But Dylan, what did you think of this first trailer?
I fucking can't wait, in general. I'm going, look, this is a teaser, so I'm going double thumbs up. If this was a trailer, I wouldn't. But it's a teaser, and it sure does tease. Because I don't know what the hell's going on. Don't know what the plot of the movie is, but that's fine, teaser. All I know is that the fact that this is for part 1, and I have so many different things in this, like car chases, bloody Rebecca Ferguson with an eye patch, shooting people, Rebecca Ferguson with a sword, having a sword fight, Tom Cruise on a horse, Tom Cruise on a motorbike, Tom Cruise in a car. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's just
Tom Cruise on a train, yeah.
Tom Cruise on a train, Tom Cruise riding a bike off a cliff and then parachuting down, which apparently he does in real life, because that was one of the big stunts. This train getting driven off the thing was another thing they really did. Like, I don't know, Mission Impossible franchise is fucking bangers. Like, it's one of the best action franchises coming out of America consistently since the third one, I guess. Especially at least the last few of Christopher McQuarrie when he's taken over. Definitely the best ones. I can't wait. I don't know what's happening. Don't know what the plot is. Doesn't really matter. Although the plot's been alright in the last couple. I think like they've been like definitely I think above serviceable. They've been like understandable and slightly intriguing. Like like I could understand what was happening. It wasn't just
they
like
do the job of like giving us reasons for.
Yeah, like it's a bit more than just like, do you remember what happened? Nah, but the stunts and the action was cool. It's like I understand what was happening, but it's not like mind blowing. So I'm keen to learn what the plot is because I do care about these characters to a degree. Like the whole we do have a core bunch of characters in these films now that you've come to know and love over the years. So it's not like they change every film like they did for the first couple. So I'm keen to learn what the actual plot is and what's going to happen, go forward, and yeah, I'm going to double thumbs up because it is a teaser and it got me hyped.
All right. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great teaser, trailer, whatever you want to call it. Like, lots of great imagery in there. Like, gets you very excited. Crazy that it got leaked like a few days before, like in that quality.
I didn't see.
Yeah. I think the only thing is the music is a little bit odd until it like starts to go into the Mission Impossible theme.
Yeah.
Then I don't love like the reveal of it being part 1. It's like,
Well, we
Dead
already knew it was
Reckoning.
part 1.
Yeah, I know, but like the actual visual like
Oh, right.
titles.
Just like the title card. Okay.
Yeah, I don't love that. 2 thumbs up from me. It is crazy that they've released this a year before. More than a year before. It's not coming out till... it's currently got slated for 13th of July, 2023. It's very odd to put something out so far away.
It just has to be because Top Gun's in, right? And they're like, fucking...
I think so. Try and get as much buzz as possible.
Yeah. Look, Tom Cruise is the man.
Not that you
He's the
need to.
trailer. Top Gun's amazing. I don't know. They help promote each other. People watch this. They go, Mission Impossible looks sick. And then they read like, oh, Top Gun's like Mission Impossible. From the producer of the Mission Impossible films is the producer and one of the writers on Top Gun. Oh, I might go watch Top Gun.
Yeah. I guess so. But yeah, it's pretty uncommon now to get trailers so far out.
No, we don't.
Other than, unless there's a pandemic that happens that causes movies to get delayed several years. Yeah,
I mean, that's different. But like in the normal world, back before COVID, we would get a movie trailer. I'd expect the first one maybe at the earliest 9 months.
Yeah.
Maybe a teaser 9 months, I guess, at the earliest.
Depending on the movie, yeah.
Yeah, but most of the time these days, I expect it 3 to 4 months or somewhere around there, I guess.
Yeah.
3 to 4 months
or less,
for a teaser.
Depending on how...
Yeah, or less, depending. But yeah, 3 to 4 months and then for a teaser and then a proper trailer. Maybe, that 3 to 2 months and then, so.
All right. That's all for thumbs for trailers this week. Let's move into the last segment for this week's What Do You Want to Watch? What do I watch? Top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
This week's top 3 is top 3 animated shows that deserve a movie. This, of course, on the back of Bob's Burgers, the movie, coming out in cinemas finally. I guess also kind of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers coming out in cinemas on Disney+. That's the movie. But yeah, lots of shows, They get the animated shows, get movies, of course, Simpsons. Of course, like every single anime that's popular over in Japan gets a movie. So I thought this would be an interesting top 3 for this week. So Dylan, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is the 1997 to 2001 TV series Daria. Which I don't know if that as a character would work well in the year 2022, but I want to watch a Daria movie. So I'm picking it because I loved watching Daria when I was young, and I was like, this girl just gets life, like ultra cynical.
That's true.
Yeah, if you've never watched Daria, there were some other things I was going to put on here as well. I will say that I was like, that kind of had a movie. That's already had a movie. Damn, I forgot that had a movie or stuff like that. Daria's never had a movie. Beavis and Butthead's had a movie though. If you didn't know that, so. But Daria has never had a movie, so I would like a Daria movie.
You excited for the spin-off series, Jodie?
No.
Okay. All right. My number 3, Gargoyles. Of course, the old Disney TV show that ran for 2 seasons back in, I want to say, the late 90s. Which, there's a bunch of gargoyles that at night turn into actual creatures, moving creatures, but during the day they're stone, and they get into all sorts of adventures.
They turn into gargoyles. The stone gargoyles that turn into gargoyles, right?
The stone gargoyles that turn into lifelike, living gargoyles.
Living gargoyles, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, a show that's fandom has kind of grown over the years. I think you could definitely do a movie, whether it's a full-on reboot or like a continuation in movie form. There's definitely something that I could see, even if it is just coming to Disney Plus, that's something they could do. Dylan, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is... Oh, fuck, what did I make my number 2 about? Hold on, I'm really bring a list up. Fuck, I thought I did, wouldn't it? Oh, Samurai Jack! So, Samurai Jack had a movie. I'm not counting it because the movie is literally the first couple episodes and they released it as a movie and said Samurai Jack movie. So, I'm not counting that. I'm overriding. That wasn't original movie material. But Samurai Jack is one of the best animated series of all time, right? Yes?
Yeah.
You agree? Have you seen it?
Nope.
Okay. Samurai Jack's one of the best anime series of all time. Very stylized, very like I remember watching it when I was a kid, and like it was on the cusp of like my nan would let me watch it when I was younger, but it was also like it was a bit violent for a cartoon. But it's PG, but it was just like, you know, it was like that. It was like the you know, it was like meant for teenagers, but I was still like a bit too young probably when I was watching it. But very stylized, very cool. Some of the best sort of animation. I remember it stood out so much when I was a kid too, because it was just like nothing else other than like anime. So if I saw like anime stuff out of Japan, you'd be like, that's different. That's not from America sort of thing. And then you'd see stuff, American cartoons all look the same. But Samurai Jack looked like nothing else, but it was from America. So it's very confusing. Yeah, I think in general, most people, it's like one of the highest rated, I think, animated shows probably of all time. I'm sure it's up there with some of the other ones that like Avatar and stuff that are probably some of the best rated stuff as well. Yeah, it still gets like they've released like a video game spin-off on mobile and stuff last year. So it's still like a property that like they keep trying to like do stuff
Didn't
with.
they do a or like continuation recently?
They did a continuation thing, which I never actually watched. I don't know if that was well received or like what the go was there, but like the show did finish. Like it had a final episode where Samurai Jack finally faced the big, I can't remember the character's name, but the person he was trying to kill the entire show. But yeah, I feel like a movie would be really, really cool. And you make it like MA. You just like target it. You make it for people like me who watch it when they're young.
Who grew up with it, yeah.
Yeah, so you make it, because the thing is obviously it's like very violent, but you wouldn't have like gory blood splashes and stuff, but just fuck it. Just do it. Do it now.
My number 2 is Adventure Time. Of course, the Cartoon Network show that ran, I think, 8 seasons. No, 7 seasons, I want to say. But, you know, they're all like 15 to 20 minute half episodes, you know, all shorter, like very short episodes. But they managed to weave like a storyline and like continuation and set up a whole world over that period. So if they were to do a full feature length story, I think that would be really interesting. And seeing some of those characters on the big screen would be really cool. And like, with a big budget and like doing all sorts of crazy stuff that maybe you can't do on like a small TV show.
I didn't realize that show actually finished until you just said that.
It did, but there's been like spin-off continuations kind of in
I
the
hadn't
sense.
thought about it. It used to be everywhere. So that's I never even realized. My brain didn't comprehend I wasn't seeing it everywhere.
All right. Dylan, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is a movie that would have two characters go on a mission to find another character who went disappearing because space whales touched them and then doesn't know where it goes anymore. That's right. My number 1 pick is they do a Star Wars Rebels movie. This is my honest answer. Like I was thinking about the question and I kept like my brain automatically is like my brain automatically actually first went Clone Wars. I'm like, no, there was a Clone Wars movie. It was shit. So I can't pick that. But then I was like, Rebels. No, I can just pick Rebels. Like I know they're like doing the like this Ahsoka thing sounds like it's a continuation, but I mean my honest answer is it's Rebels. Like that's my honest answer. I would without seeing the quality of that upcoming Ahsoka series, I'd much prefer just to have a Rebels movie. That's where I'm at. So this is my number 1 thing Dylan would want: Star Wars Rebels movie.
All right. My number 1 pick: Avatar: The Last Airbender. And you'll say there was an Avatar: The Last Airbender movie, but I say no.
There was an Avatar: The Last Airbender movie.
There never existed. Never happened, never seen it, doesn't matter. It was in another format. Let's do an animated movie, continuing on from where the TV series ended. Of course, they've got their Team Avatar things working over at Paramount Animation or whatever at the moment. So hopefully they're doing a movie. But I'm sure they're just doing a continuation of the series or more Avatar stories. But yeah, I think big action adventure told on the big screen with that in mind, that huge scale, that would be really cool to tell that story. So yeah, that would be my pick. And if I had to pick something to replace it because it doesn't qualify, how about a Bluey movie? That would make a lot of money, wouldn't it?
I feel like the problem with the Bluey movie thing is you couldn't make it too long because the audience like doesn't, like it's a short attention.
They're used to short
thing.
Attention stories, but
So unless you make the movie in a couple years when the kids watching it now are a bit older and you're like, that's your target audience, I guess, as the original Bluey fans, if you want to call them that, like the kids who were like, like 3, 4, 5, whatever.
I mean, they make
started.
like movie length Winnie the Pooh, those kind of stories, and they like.
Yeah, but like the same thing. I doubt any young kid's going to watch that. I know there are like Winnie the Pooh movies that are only like an hour 18, hour 20. Like they're definitely like not the full 90 minutes, but I still just think a young kid doesn't have the attention span quite for that movie. Like young kid.
They don't need the attention span. They just need to want to go see it.
I guess, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it
I'll
comes
go
out
watch
to
it.
home video and watch it.
I'll go watch the Bluey movie.
All right. Let us know on Twitter or in our Discord
New
if you would
season
watch the Bluey movie, or what your top 3 animated shows that deserve a movie are. Of course, you can find us on Twitter by going to explosion.com/Twitter, or you can jump into our Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or tell people about the show. Leave us 5 stars. Anywhere you can leave 5 stars. And if you like this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionetwork.com/support. Of course, head over to explosionetwork.com to check out our news, reviews, and our other podcasts, especially Holocron Entries. We can find all of our Star Wars related news. Of course, check out all the spoiler casts on this podcast feed. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.